Instead of a State of the Union address, the U.S. Congress and indeed the American people were treated to a rousing campaign speech, which the president was using to kick off the 2024 presidential election campaign. He is facing the presumptive Republican nominee, former U.S. President Donald Trump, in what many expect to be a very hot, very controversial and heated contest for who will be the next president of the United States. Joe Biden led off this State of the Union address, this campaign speech, by speaking about Ukraine and about Russia and about the Russian President Vladimir Putin. He alluded to times past where he brought up Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the President of the United States during the Second World War. He spoke of a time when the armies of Adolf Hitler were rampaging across Europe. And then he fast forwarded to the present and spoke about Russian President Vladimir Putin and Russian armies rampaging across Ukraine. If you're going to raise Adolf Hitler, if you're going to raise the specter of World War II in the present time, then you need to follow through. But Joe Biden didn't do that. After defining the problem of Ukraine in such stark terms, Joe Biden said, America will not walk away from Ukraine. In many ways, he's right. He didn't walk away from Ukraine. He ran away from Ukraine, straight into issues about domestic politics, because it's a campaign address, not a State of the Union address. There were no Ukrainian leaders in the audience to stand up and receive the applause of Congress. There was no detailed plan for how the president was proposing the United States deal with this Hitler-like threat that was coming from Russia, that was taking place in Ukraine, other than to release an aid package. Why would the president only focus on releasing this $64 billion aid package? Because it's tied to domestic American politics. It was linked to perhaps the most contentious issue of the day, that is border security, immigration reform. The $64 billion is being held hostage by Republicans in the House of Representatives. The Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is a Trump loyalist. And they have made the decision, these Republicans, that they will not release this money as leverage over Joe Biden to get him to undertake reforms of immigration policy that, if he did undertake it, would weaken him in his election. So if Biden isn't going to change his approach to immigration, the Republicans aren't going to release the money, Ukraine isn't going to get the assistance it needs, America's running away from Ukraine. And that's the reality. This is about, I think people need to understand that the coming months will not be about elevating Ukraine to a status that compares to the threat that Adolf Hitler posed to the world back in the Second World War. That's purely, a sentiment that the president was using as in this campaign rally. He spoke about it, but then he ran away from it. Instead, what we're going to see for the next months is a president who will be almost singularly focused on domestic American policy, trying to differentiate himself from Donald Trump on these issues. And the Ukrainian conflict will die a natural death, so to speak, a tragic death for the Ukrainian people, but one that the American public will not be meaningfully engaged in. At least that's what I took away from the State of the Union address.